The views and opinions expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect those of any major corporation whatsoever. I already apologized for this next part. Well, Bunny! This week on the Pope on Film, we are continuing ever forward into the month of Buntober with a series of movies hand-picked, handcrafted, specifically by you, Bunny, for the sole reason of scaring away any potential listeners.
Yes.
Finally, a podcast that actually tries to not have listeners by watching the most obscure, demented films imaginable. Sure, we've covered Babes in Toyland, Guardians of the Galaxy, Pulp Fiction, Inside Out, Rick and Morty, La La Land, and a Grindhouse film where a midget dressed as a minion gets a blowjob from a decapitated head. So it's really win-win.
Yes.
Take that, popular podcasts out there doing Id and Dunkirk. We're doing Marty McFly's dad and a bunch of Down syndrome kids doing strange shit. And it's all Nazi Shirley Temple themed.
Yes.
Take that, other podcasts. We don't even care if people listen to the show.
Well, with a lot of
movies no one has seen.
With a lot of the shit that we talk about on this show, isn't it kind of scary to think that people are listening to us?
Yeah. It's weird to think that there are people out there who take pleasure and entertainment from my weekly therapy session.
Yes, and my current drama and tornadoes. We had a tornado rip through that time.
Yeah. Weird.
That's one of our special episodes.
Yeah. So this month, so far, we have bravely pushed the boundaries of podcasting by covering the films Bloodsucking Freaks, Begotten, and now continuing our series of unwatchability. This week we are discussing, if it's even possible to discuss, the 2005 indie horror art Down syndrome film, What Is It? Now, what can be said about this week's film that hasn't already been said in police reports? Well, the soldiers' costumes are very realistic. That's positive. Hey, I've seen a lot worse reviews. I've seen reviews where they didn't even mention the costumes.
Yeah.
Like that last Francis the Mule picture. It got terrible notices. Huge hit. Lines around the block.
Yes.
I will say this for the film. The title is perfect. Yes. What is it? It's perfect because that is exactly what you'll be wondering while you're watching the film.
That is part of why I'm going to call this art.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't mean you have to call it art, because that's how art works, and that's why art is bullshit. But yes. I'm going to call this one art. And I'm still going to call Begotten a big heaping piece of trash.
Yeah.
Okay? That is not art. And the thing is, and I didn't like this movie the first run through. Through the second run through, that's where I fell in love.
Yeah.
Okay? Because then I could start seeing a lot more of what was going on. There's nothing going on in Begotten. There's just nothing going on. There's nothing to interpret. There's nothing to read into. There's nothing like that. You read a synopsis of this movie or you read a review, you get the same one paragraph blurb that tells you every part of the plot.
Yeah.
And that's it. There's nothing else there. There's nothing to interpret. There's nothing else. This movie, did you watch it once or twice?
I watched it twice.
Yeah. After we talk, you might want to...
I'm like, honey, The first time, I'm like, honey, this is some weird, fucked up shit. Like, I don't
And
know
it
if I can
is
talk.
weird, fucked up shit.
Yeah,
So,
but then
no doubt.
the second time I saw it, it just after I got over the initial shock of the first time, the second time I was able to laugh at it a bit more.
Yeah.
The second time I was able to, like, I was less nervous because I already knew the horrible things that were coming. So
No,
I was a bit more comfortable watching it, and that allowed me to like it a little bit more.
I think I think I get what Crispin Glover was going for, and
Yeah,
that's why I call it art, and with art I could be totally wrong, you know,
yeah,
um, but I have a take on this movie that I think makes a fair amount of sense,
yes.
you know. So go ahead, we'll get to that.
The what was I talking about? The title of the film. What is it? It reminds me of a new book in the John Dies at the End book series.
Yeah.
The third book in the John Dies at the End series just recently came out in hardcover, and it's literally called "What the Hell Did I Just Read?" And that fits in so well because this entire John Dies at the End book series is literally designed to fuck with you,
Yeah, really
the person
nice.
who is reading the book. Yeah, originally, John Dies at the End started as a series of small chapters that he released on the internet specifically just for his friends. Like, the author didn't think this would ever become popular. It's just,
Yeah.
I'm going to write this weird, crazy shit and then release it so my friends can read it. And then suddenly, oh, wait, a couple thousand people are reading this. Oh, okay, I'm going to continue writing my weird, strange shit. And oh my God, millions of people are reading this.
Well,
Okay, well, I'm
I've
still
told
gonna
you,
fuck with them. So
I've
kept fucking with them.
I've told you this story before, but let me remind you. Um,
Yeah,
so I had read a lot of the stories online before I saw the movie John Dies at the End. You know,
yeah,
because I was literally sitting at work one day and I was bored and I needed to waste time.
yeah.
So I put that into a search engine. And a website came up, pointless waste of time. And I was like, that's exactly what I need. That's that's exactly what
Yeah.
I need right here. And this was a website that was run by David Wong and John Cheese of crack.com.
Yes.
And David, it was David Wong's site, and he's friends with John Cheese. So like they were the only two, the only two contributors. And he wanted it to be like a Hollywood site, things like that, news and information and interviews with stars and stuff like that. And he was like, but I don't know any of those people, so that's impossible. So I'm just going to make all that stuff up.
Nice.
And just gave just wild reviews and things like that, like the inside scoop of the Matrix 2. And this was
Yeah.
before Matrix 2 came out. This was before we knew this was like right after the Matrix, basically. We had no idea if there was going to be a Matrix 2. And I don't remember much of it, but I remember part of the article said that in Matrix 2, there would be one character who would pop up periodically and say, "That's a one spicy taco."
Nice.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun to read. So like the whole beginning, I didn't know there were like 3 books. I know there was the first book, and
Yeah,
then
the second one.
and Pointless Waste of Time is what became crack.com,
Yeah.
which is probably what got the movie funded.
Yeah. The second book was called "This Book Is Full of Spiders."
Yeah, and it's got Clancy Brown, so I like that movie.
Yeah. Oh, big Clancy Brown fan. Big Clancy Brown fan.
So the whole time I was watching the movie, I was like, this is it, and this is cool because that is David Wong, and that is John Cheese. John Cheese is going to die at the end of this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How the fuck did we get here?
Because this movie is called What Is It?
Yes.
And What Is It reminded me of the new book in that series. What the fuck did I just read? What the hell did I just read?
Yeah. I was really entertained by both the opening credits and the ending credits. First, you had already mentioned it because I didn't catch it. I didn't even catch it the first time. Well, the font was kind of hard to read, but I was just like, Faruqa Balk? Are you kidding? I bet you she was the voice of that screaming snail.
Yeah, Fairuza Balk is the voice of the screaming snail in the movie. You might know Fairuza Balk from the movie The Craft and literally nothing else. If you can think of something else that Fairuza Balk is in, guess what? You're Fairuza Balk.
Okay, no, I need to strongly disagree on you on that.
She is from The Craft.
Huh? Because she was in Return to Oz, which we have covered on this show.
Oh yeah, no, never mind. I forgot about that shit.
But even still, I was like, I was surprised she was in it. But then I thought about it in a second. She seems like she would be Crispin Glover's friend.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, if you heard that Faruqa Balk, or however you say her name, and Crispin Glover were dating, you would hear that news and be like, "Yeah, I could see that."
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And the Charles Manson family of singers.
Yeah, the Charles Manson family of singers. I was very attracted to one of the breasts of one of the monkey masked women. So I looked up the credits, and most of them were just named like Deborah, Ashley, and then there was one woman with a big, long, exotic sounding name. So I Googled her. Huge porn actress.
Yeah.
Huge, bizarre, foreign porn actress. Also, not surprising that that person would know Crispin Glover.
Was that the mom? Or was it one of the monkey girls?
No, one of the monkey girls. One of the monkey girls.
We're confusing confusing our listeners now.
Yeah, one of the big-breasted monkey girls.
Because all they're getting is Screaming Snail, porn star, Faruqa Balk,
Fairuza Balk,
and porn stars.
Yeah, this is a weird movie, guys. This is FYI. This movie, it's a weird one.
I like it. I don't know if I could say. Well, go ahead. Let's give what you got.
Okay, this film is written, produced, directed, edited, and stars Crispin Wilberforce Glover. That's not his real middle name, but it feels real.
Yes, it does.
This man is a professional nut job. This man is Coco for Cuckoo Puffs. This man has all of the charisma of a New York City street performer on mescaline.
Yes.
This man is batshit insane. He started with small acting roles here and there. He was in the 4th Friday the 13th movie.
Oh, and I love him in everything. I just love him in everything.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, everyone loves him in everything.
Oh, everyone loves stupid dance that he did in Friday the 13th. What, 4?
Yeah.
It was 4?
That was the one that was the one where the filmmakers were like, okay, this will be the final Friday the 13th movie. Because, guys, can you imagine us making more? No one would ever want to watch Friday the 13th. What, 5, 6, 7, 8? Yeah, we'll never do that. This is the last Friday the 13th movie.
But his performance, have you ever seen it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. His performance, it was literally just Crispin Glover dropped into a fucking Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah.
That is Crispin Glover. He was a complete nerd. That dance was amazing. It beats the shit out of the Troll 2 dance. You know?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And he was acting like he was just as cool as the cool kids.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, you're not.
No. So, I see this thing unplugged. Hold on, I'm trying to plug things back in here.
Okay.
Trying to plug myself back in. So then, Crispin Glover got his big break as the dad in Back to the Future. And the interesting thing, the thing that I love about Crispin Glover in Back to the Future is the fact that he set an interesting legal precedent in this film.
Yes, yeah. Wait. In which film?
In Back to the Future one.
Oh, yes.
In Back to the Future series. Because he was in the first one. He refused to be in number 2 and number 3, so they hired an actor to play an old version of him and used old footage of Crispin Glover in Back to the Future's number 2 and 3, which led to a massive lawsuit, which turned into a legal precedent that, like, hey, he didn't agree to be in these films. You can't just use this old footage of him in these new films. He agreed to, he is not in this film, so you can't use him, period. And now that's like a law in the Screen Actors Guild.
Yeah, for a lot of good reasons too. I mean, I really got to say that I am on Crispin Glover's side on that fight, because first off, obviously he's not getting fucking paid. You know? And like, you're selling your, because they actually credited him in the movie too.
Yeah.
You know, you are literally selling your acting skill. Okay? You don't want that reflecting on you.
Yeah.
You know? That's going to hurt your cred. That's going to hurt what you're doing. You know, what if it sucked? Or what if it's, you know what, it's just not fucking me. And people are going to think that's me.
And also, you could probably have just used another person for the Crispin Glover role. That's the thing that pisses me off, is that there's obviously 2 Jennifers.
Yeah.
There's a different Jennifer in number 1, and then there's a different Jennifer in number 2 and 3. So you mean to tell me that you couldn't have used another dad?
Yeah. You know, it would be cool, okay? Because we are playing around with time, you know? Replace him with like somebody really famous and hot at the time. Like, I don't know who. Maybe Hasselhoff, you know?
Oh, yeah. No, that would have been big.
You know, replace Crispin Glover with David Hasselhoff.
Yeah.
Playing David Hasselhoff. He would literally be, you know, time got changed and Mom hooked up with David Hasselhoff.
Yeah.
You know? Do a real zag on it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Then
But again, I loved Crispin Glover in both the Back of the Future movies.
Yeah. Yeah. In everything he's ever done, basically. Yeah. Then, in 1987, because we are talking about Crispin Glover, in 1987, he was on David Letterman.
Yes.
To promote his movie, The River's Edge, but he decided to come onto the show in character as the character of Reuben from the little-seen British comedy Reuben and Ed that wasn't even released for 4 more years. It's just that he made this movie in England for like next to nothing, and he was so excited for the film and so excited for the movie and so excited for the character that he did that he said, I'm going to be on David Letterman. I'm going as this character.
Yeah.
So he shows up. Of course, no one knows what the fuck is happening. He shows up in a wig in high heels, and he's hyperactive and tripped out, and he threatens to fight David Letterman, almost kicks him in the face. It's crazy as hell. It's all over the internet. People still talk about it to this day. But what a Crispin Glover move that is.
Oh, that's okay. That's when he caught my attention.
Hell yeah!
That's
Before
when he caught my attention.
Curiosity.
Yeah, because
like you have my
like I didn't recognize him from Friday the 13th to Back to the Future, But when he came on Letterman, I remembered him from Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Yeah. And once he was being very strange, he was kind of the same guy as Back to the Future. And it was very awkward what he was doing, but you kind of expect Papa McFly to be acting like that,
Uh-huh.
And it was kind of like I don't blame David Letterman for having called security.
Yeah. Basically, he tried to Andy Kaufman it, but years and years after Andy Kaufman, and it didn't go well.
Well, because there's always that fine line with Crispin Glover where it's like, is he really insane or is he a genius?
Yeah.
And I have not figured that out yet. I think if you figure that out, you are granted immortality.
Yeah. As soon as Crispin Glover goes mainstream, he zags. He zags.
Yeah.
And the best example of that is in the 2000s, he stepped up his game. He starred in a big remake of the 1970s movie Willard. He was the title character in the fairly well-received indie comedy Bartleby. And he was the bad guy in the first freaking Charlie's Angels movie.
Didn't see Bartleby and didn't see the Charlie's Angels movie.
Yeah, also a little bit earlier. He was I just want to mention he was also what's his name, Andy Warhol in The Doors.
Yeah. Yes. So like this is my how I feel about my relationship with Crispin Glover. Okay?
Yeah.
And it's holding true even for this week's movie. Okay? Mm-hmm. Like I watched Willard and I was like, oh man, what the fuck? I didn't mind them remaking Willard because the original Willard isn't really that fucking good to begin with. Right. I like it because it's nostalgic for me. So it's like, go ahead, I don't care. But Crispin Glover is just like shrieking like a girl and kind of acting like a maniac. It's like I just don't see this as Willard, and I really disliked it. And then I watched it a second time, and I was like, oh, fuck! I see what you're doing. I love it. I get why you're shrieking like a girl now.
Yeah.
Willard should screech like a girl.
Yeah.
Willard would have to be nuts to begin with.
Yeah. But every time he becomes mainstream, he takes a serious dive just so he can still seem crazy. Like he can't have too much success, so he keeps like destroying himself.
Yeah.
So here he is in these big movies.
And I can appreciate that.
Yeah. So he's in these big movies and he's starring in these movies. He's a bad guy in Charlie's Angels. And now he goes, oh, good. I'm making a lot of money. I can use this to finance a movie I'm planning on doing.
Mm-hmm.
So he got all the money from Willard and Bartleby and Charlie's Angels, and he he used that money to make this week's freaking film.
Yeah.
He claimed
it couldn't have cost that much, really.
Yeah.
And if they give a big figure, I would bet you they're lying, because it looks like it's a combination of being shot at his house and shot in the local graveyard.
Yeah.
You know?
And shot in possibly a volcanic set from Santa Claus and the Ice Cream Bunny.
Yeah.
Is also what it looked like.
Yeah.
So, Crispin Glover claims that this film took him a decade to make, but he has also claimed that the film was primarily shot in 12 days. Yes. Those two statements don't fit together, but hey, what the fuck do I know? This is Crispin Glover we're talking about, you know?
Well, I think it's exaggerated, but I don't think it's necessarily wrong. You know?
Yeah.
You have to literally herd up a bunch of Down syndrome kids, you know?
Yeah.
With whatever their schedules are to make it all connect, and you have other obligations. You still got to be starring and shit while you do this, you know?
Yeah.
Or getting bit parts and stuff. So I kind of picture it like he shot like a scene a day, you know? And on 2 days he got 2 shots in. You know?
Yeah.
So it's 12 days, but like not in a row. You know?
Yeah.
Reminding me of the old Stephen Wright joke.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Open 24 hours. Yeah.
Not
so I mean I think a decade is a bit stretch. I mean, a decade you would be seeing it on these people.
Yeah.
You know, you would be watching and their hair would never be the same.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it took a really long time to get made, yet was still only shot in 12 days. I don't know if I believe 10 years, you know.
Yeah. So this movie, like after watching it a second time, like okay, I'm a little bit entertained by this. It's bizarre and it's weird and like okay, like I am entertained. I am at least entertained.
Yeah.
But this film made me feel unclean.
Yes, it was. Yes, some of the imagery was really disturbing.
Yeah,
not disturbing in the same way as it's a different disturbing than like Faces of Death or Cannibal Holocaust, Last House on the Left. It's disturbing on like a whole different level. And it's really kind of like, I can't believe you went there, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of level.
Well, I'm not 100% sure that I feel disturbed. I just feel unclean. Like I feel like I'm a dirtier person having seen this film. Like it just makes me. I'm trying to explain.
Yeah, I'm not. I get what you're saying. Yeah, like.
Yeah.
There are some movies that you should not
be entertained by.
Bill Funkerson over at Outside the Cinema has the same problem, describing the same feeling. Like you can't say that you liked Sallow. You know?
Yeah.
You may watch it a few times. It's a film that you may share with somebody else. It's a film that if it comes up in conversation, you immediately make a connection with the person who brought it up, you know? But you can't say you liked it.
Yeah.
You'll still probably watch it once a year, once every 2 years or something like that. You know?
Yeah. Like
I spit on your
can't-
grave. I spit on your grave. A woman getting repeatedly raped, you cannot say you liked. You know?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, like I can't say that I am a huge fan of watching Crispin Glover dressed as a Nazi watching a Down syndrome man get a hand job in an oyster.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we've watched some
But see, with this movie, because of the things that I was seeing in it, no, I like this. I like this. I don't
yeah.
feel unclean like you do. And when I get around to trying to explain what I saw in the movie, that'll probably become more understandable.
Yeah.
And you might give it another look too. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised.
But this film just made me feel unclean, which is weird because we've watched some pretty dirty films. Cannibal Holocaust, Begotten, It Happened to Jane.
Yes.
But this one just makes me feel kind of bad for having seen it. Like, hey, I'm going to watch this Kristen Glover movie, and he's a Nazi. And there's a song with the N-word and porn actors and Down syndrome people. Okay, then. I guess this is my afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be interesting. So the movie opens with a close-up of a snail and way too many titles and a lot of quick cuts to nonsense and unintelligible snippets of dialogue. Eventually, a plot does take shape, however, and as far as I can tell, this is what the movie's about.
Uh-huh.
There's a guy, and his name is Rick, and he's an expatriate who owns a bar in Casablanca during the war.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got like a piano player. His name is Sam. That part was pretty clear. And there's like apparently one song he can't play. Then a woman comes into the bar and is like, "Hey, play that song."
Yeah.
And then things go downhill from there. There's guns and French people.
Yes.
And it's very sad film.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think I can break down the plot of this film because there is no plot. There's like no anything. There's a Down syndrome kid killing a bunch of snails.
I disagree. There's a plot. I think I found the plot.
The cemetery. Like the thing is that I know there's a plot there. I just can't figure it out. Like I see the film and I'm like, okay, this is nonsense. Here are the credits, and then the credits specifically spell out Jimmy Sullivan plays Frank's unconscious id, and I'm like, wait, what the fuck's going on in this film? like
I haven't figured out that part yet. But I am really tempted to go through the. I'm really tempted to go through the ending credits like frame by frame. You know?
Yeah, that's what I thought of doing, because literally the credits spell out, okay, Kristen Glover plays the inner torment of this character.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, apparently I wasn't paying any attention. Like, I'm going to have to write down these credits and go back in order to understand what this movie is. Maybe if I'll just watch it again, I'll understand what this movie is about. And no. That's a no. That's a big no. I have no idea what this movie's about. It's about snails and how they're fuckers.
Yes.
We need to cover them in salt and decapitate them and smash them into windows. That's what this movie is about. This movie is anti-snail propaganda.
Do you want me to just go ahead? I think maybe I should just go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
With what I'm thinking here.
Yes.
Okay, so first first, if you read anything about this movie, which there is not very much, I'm sure you saw the one particular line that the Down syndrome kid is in kind of like the real world, and then Crispin Glover is that kid, and this is in his inner life.
Yeah.
Okay? This is how he sees himself in his head. Okay? Now, I have a theory why he's seeing this in his head, but it may be as simple as trying to portray a Down syndrome's child a Down syndrome child's thought processes. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not terribly sold on that, but it's definitely his inner life, which is always something that's creeped me out about the Japanese, because the culture is so straight laced and very respectable, and anything you do can lose you your job and shit like that. They live inner lives, you know.
Yeah.
Just these fantasy worlds that they make up on themselves, and they go to certain districts and act them out sometimes, you know, by eating a squid or something, you know. And tentacle porn is literally that guy, the guy who came up with it. That's literally his inner life, you know. And it's like that's always fucked with me about Japanese people. Not let me correct, not Japanese people. People from Japan, you know, Japan itself, Japan as a culture, you know?
Yeah.
Because they're fucked, you know, when they get to cut loose, they are fucked up, you know?
Yeah.
Playing a flute with your vagina. Good Lord. That's Japan.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So an alternate theory, okay, is that, okay, see, Down syndrome, autism, and things like that, I really don't know much about. You know, I've met a couple of people here or there that might have been one or the other. I really can't tell the difference between a lot of them looking at them. You know,
Yeah.
like if you didn't tell me the kids in this movie were Down syndrome, I would have taken them for autistic. You know, and it's not something, you know. I'm just like, well, just don't be mean to them or anything, or treat them any different, and you don't have to worry about it. But like, I understand that people do not like the word retard, and that is definitely a slur, and that's not something that you should call somebody. But is nobody retarded anymore? Have we like learned more? Therefore, it's like there are no retarded people. There are autistic people. There are people with Down syndrome. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
You know, so I guess retarded just went away. But in the 70s, retarded people were kind of they were in a lot of television shows. You know, like every serious drama type show would have an episode that was centered around a retarded person, you know? And they were all basically Tom Cullen from The Stand. You know?
Yes.
They were all really big men, and just acted stupid. You know? And what they don't know, and they can't spell, and they can't do this and that. And it's always been like that. And in a lot of the dramas, like I remember Beretta had an episode. You know, I used to like Beretta. And he was so childlike and innocent that as a kid, because I was really young at the time. I mean, kids respond to other kids, and to me, he was just a big kid, kind of like Frankenstein, you know?
Yeah.
And always at the end. So you feel for him, and then they would always go nuts at the end and kill somebody.
Always.
Yeah. Like the joke from Clerks 2 that Randall said, you know, retard strong, you know? That's how they were portrayed. So I think basically Crispin Glover is doing a lot of that in this movie. That's where I'm kind of going with this. And so the main, I don't know these kids' names though, and it's embarrassing. The main Down syndrome kid. The only one we see inside of his house. The one who's got the snail thing. Okay?
Yeah.
Because he's Down syndrome, a lot of the things in his inner life are very childlike. A lot of Cabbage Patch dolls, stuffed geese, Shirley Temple,
Freaking Shirley Temple is all over this movie.
Well,
I'm sure she would be proud, though. She'd be real proud.
Well, as sick as this kind of is, I think he had a crush on Shirley Temple. That's why she's in his inner life. Okay?
Yeah.
And then the rest of it is horror. Horror of Nazi imagery, a minstrel in blackface.
Who is Michael Jackson?
Who is Michael Jackson, yes. The bat shit, the disturbing shit, that's where that was, And that's juxtaposed to this kind of more innocent thing. Shirley Temple in front of a swastika with a riding crop in her vagina?
Yes. That is a part of this movie, folks.
I was like, motherfucker. That's like yes, I find that very disturbing. But I see where it's playing in. He literally does have sexual fantasies about Shirley Temple. But it's hard to actually blame him for being Down syndrome.
Yeah.
It's not like he would do it, but he has a sexual fixation on Shirley Temple, most likely from his childhood. And all the horror and racism comes from his mother torturing him. Okay?
Yeah.
And she was most likely kind of his first kill, I think. Okay? Because I'm proposing that kid with Down syndrome, not exactly, but close to a serial killer persona. Okay? But at the same time, that kind of has Crispin Glover playing the same kind of character from Beretta and all of these TV shows.
Yeah.
He's very innocent. He's very childlike. He, all of this. Yeah. But he's a shitty kid. He's a fucking Nazi. He's a complete racist on like every level. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is all in his inner life, but it's acting out on his outer life as well. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
He was tortured by his mother. Okay. He's a serial killer, and I'm also going with multiple personality.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. I'm going on basically he is in every scene. Okay?
Yeah.
that one character, whether it's in reality or it's in his inner life or anything like that, he is in every scene and he is multiple characters. Like the blonde girl with the horrible glasses.
Yes.
The one who started scratching up the other guy's face.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You never see her in a scene with the other kid.
Yes, true.
But I'm proposing he's in other scene. He's in every scene because he is her in that scene.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's because he is fucking weird that all of the other Down syndrome kids don't like him.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the real world, and I use real very, very loosely. Okay.
Very loosely.
Yes. He's outcast from his own peer group, so he's isolated. Okay. So this is the case I'm making for him being a serial killer. The torture by the mother being, that making him weird. I mean, that makes him Carrie White.
Yeah.
Being outcast by his own peer group and torturing small animals, which is the snails.
The snails.
Mm-hmm.
So much the snails.
Right. Because his relationship with his mother gives him the unhealthy ability to love somebody and hate somebody at the same time.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So he loves snails. Okay. But he kills them. So serial killers, like the first sign of serial killers is torturing small animals.
Yes.
Stripping their skin and keeping their bones and things like this. This is like one of the starts to the ritual.
Yeah. A lot of salt.
Yes, but did you see? But the slugs and the salt relate to the mother. Okay, did you catch where he was putting the salt on the snail? And then they showed the shower head where she presumably died?
No.
I did not catch that. The salt was the representation of that shower head.
Okay.
So that's how the snails relate to the mother.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
And he loves snails, just like he loves his mother. Okay?
Yeah.
But he hates his mother and he hates snails.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, we go to the minstrel, which is so flaming racist. It's even brought up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? So, and you really have to take it in two parts, kind of like the movie It. You got to take what's kind of real and then get into the inner life, because I really haven't gotten into the inner life much.
Yeah.
But you've got the minstrel who is telling us how much he likes snails, okay, and how he wants to be a snail, and how he is injecting himself with, I don't know, snail slime, I guess,
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah.
And he does this thrice a day. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you go back to reality with the kid, he pours salt in a lot of places on his mother's gravestone. There's another connection to the mother, or on his hand, or one he tried to bash up against the fish tank, the one in the house that he kept in the fish tank. I think that's representative of him having killed his mother. She was taking a shower. He somehow, I mean, we don't see it, but he somehow got out of his bounds and things like that, where she was puffing smoke. She was forcing pipe smoke into his lungs. You know?
Yeah.
So somehow he got out of that and he killed his mother in the shower. Kind of Norman Bates-ish.
Yeah.
You know? So the snail in the house, that's the mother, and that's why that's the only one that talks. Because that's like, again, Norman Bates. That's his mother's voice, like haunting him. You know?
Yeah.
But he only put salt on the snail on his hand 3 times.
Yeah.
Because he injects himself thrice daily.
Oh, gotcha.
So that the dying snail is in direct contact with his skin. Jesus,
you paid attention so much more to this movie than I did.
I
just couldn't get over what I was seeing, but you pay attention to it, you know?
Let me explain to you a little bit why. Because we're having problems, we ran out of the last of the pot on Saturday.
Okay. Oh, snap. Okay.
And we are on cigarette rationing. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So I watched it the first time, and I was high the first time, because that's like I was like, if this is the last of the dope, I'm watching this movie. But marijuana is very self-limiting, so you build up a tolerance, you know?
Yeah.
There are a lot of times I smoke and I don't even feel like I'm high, you know? And that's not unusual, and a lot of people who smoke like I do, they take what's called tolerance breaks, you know?
Yeah.
And marijuana is such a lovely thing that it only takes a few days for a tolerance break. And it's always good to be reminded how not addictive it is, you know? Because I've been smoking this steadily for 3 or 4 years now, you know?
Jesus. Okay.
And the cigarette rationing is bothering me a lot more than not having had pot.
Yeah.
But I only had enough money to get 1 joint, so this is nice. And not only that, I was smoking resin. You know, I was smoking. You unwrap the joint, the roach, and save it. Yeah. So it's kind of horrible. So this is nice and fresh. I came home with the joint, sat down, smoked it, and watched this movie again. And it all started making sense.
It started clicking. Yeah.
I see nice. Now, did you probably didn't know? Do you think I'm wrong, or does this sound solid?
No. All of this shit sounds solid.
Yeah. So anyway,
all of this makes sense.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the snails. I don't quite get why or how he started making love to that one girl, having sex with the one girl, which was really kind of weird, seeing 2 down. I mean, they do, you know, but it's
no, they do. It's just weird. It's still weird to see.
Yeah, it's kind of the same feeling as seeing your parents fuck, you know.
Yeah,
they do, you know, but it's really weird to kind of see it. Then he floats into his inner life in a cloud. Okay.
Yeah.
I I I made a mistake, and I might have taken this route the wrong way, because I'm pretty sure in the first scene he was the one who was hit in the head with the shovel. Okay?
Yes.
But I think it might have been another one, because again, I hate to be kind of shitty, but it's hard to tell some of these Down syndrome people apart. You know?
Yeah, especially when you can barely hear what they're saying, and nobody's really given a name in any of this.
Yeah, exactly. So I might have been mistaken there, but my interpretation was he was unconscious, because I don't recognize that girl from any of the other scenes. I could be wrong. You know?
Yeah.
Because each of the different scenes had different sets of Down syndrome people.
Yeah.
Probably because they weren't quite as important a role, and it's like, well, I can fill in with these other people as long as I got the star, It won't have to take 10 years, So that might be a more practical thing, but my interpretation was he was unconscious during the whole sex scene. And I will come back to that when we get into his inner life. What happens after that in the real world? He has his one friend.
Yeah.
Which I'm not clear on what's going on there. I'm thinking something kind of along the lines of Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Okay.
Where he kind of teams up with this other one. But then that other one, that he kind of finds out the other kid's secrets, and then goes back to the rest of the clique and tells them, and they make fun of him, and that's why he's ostracized.
Yeah.
Because he's the one who went up to the two girls, looked back at our hero, pointed, and they all started laughing.
Yeah.
The blonde girl with the glasses, that was also him, because again, you don't see him in the same scene. And she is also represented in the inner life.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, man. There's a lot of snail salting and things like that.
So much.
The minstrel comes out into the real world.
Into the real world, yeah.
Which I really don't get that part unless it is. I don't think this is right, but I was kind of going with the movie Identity for this, okay? Where the character, his multiple personalities were possibly starting to collapse or become more emboldened, where he actually became the personality of the minstrel. He was still him, but we as the audience saw the minstrel.
Saw him as the minstrel.
Right.
Okay.
But then they bury him, so I don't get that.
Yeah, neither do I.
And that's a problem with reality not quite being real.
Yeah.
So now if you go into the inner life, okay, Crispin Glover is him. Okay. Well, they're all basically him. Okay. But Crispin Glover is the god. He is Shirley Temple.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And he says that in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like,
and
what do you call me?
if people are just tuning in for that show, yes, Crispin Glover sat there and said, because I just this is the part that gave me the biggest laugh.
Yeah.
Crispin Glover was what do you call me? Was that what he was saying?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
am I called? What do you call
Or
me?
what do you refer to me as, or something like that?
Yeah. And this is all in the inner life. And the one girl, I didn't catch what she said.
Yeah.
But then it came to the other guy, and he was like, McFly? And I was like, oh my God, you took a shot at Back to the Future in this fucked up movie?
Yeah. This. Yeah.
That is so bizarre.
The part that gave me the part that gave me the biggest laugh was, quiet. Time for the puppet show. and then there's like a puppet that's made out of a box of Tide.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Good, he's dead. Now we can have a good time.
Yeah. So
I feel like I've been castrated. I wrote some of my favorite lines down. I want to turn them all into bumper stickers to make people not ride my ass. Each one of these lines would be turned into a good shirt to scare people. My human skin coat turns her on. Like, yes, all of that would make a good shirt to wear to church.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But when he said about the human skin coat, first it was not a human skin coat. Okay.
Yeah.
But he was saying the skin coat in relation to the chubby blonde girl. Just like Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah,
she would be one of Buffalo Bill's victims.
Yeah,
because she's roomy.
Yeah.
And then you have the blonde with the funny glasses, his alter ego in the real world. She has her hair kind of like in a beehive. And then the togas, the Roman theme, which was kind of, so she is another personality that he exhibits out in the real world. You know, but his personalities live in the inner world. You know, and you can, you know, if you're multiple personality, you wind up having personalities like who you want to be, who tormented you, you know, because it's a fractured psyche, you know. So any of the things that we have integrated into one persona is all split into different pieces, you know. So one of his personalities is usually always a personality that is a very strong character. In his case, because I've known a few multiple personality people, I find it very interesting. I don't know if I necessarily believe it, you know, but it's an interesting topic. So one of the personas in a multiple personality will usually be a very strong character, and there's Crispin Glover. He is God. You know, and he is Shirley Temple. Robert Crumb is
yes. Naked Robert Crumb getting the hand job.
Yes, he is also our star. Okay, but he is like Picture it as if there were actually two worlds, and basically the psyche of one character is teleporting back and forth between the worlds. Okay.
Okay. Well, then what
Robert
happens at the
Crumb.
end?
Robert Crumb is our hero, the Down syndrome kid, when he is not being used.
Okay.
Okay. Like you have taken off that coat. Okay. and tossed it aside. He is basically an adult baby. Okay. And he is in a giant vagina. Okay.
Okay.
If you look at that clamshell,
Yeah.
So in the real world, we're not really there yet, because when we first go into the inner world, we get a once over of all the characters really quick. There's not terribly much going on there, but you get to see the faces and get the first indication of who's there. So it's the minstrel that we had mentioned before, in complete blackface and big white lips, who's injecting himself with snail goo and saying he's Michael Jackson. And he wants to turn into a snail. God,
this movie's weird.
Yeah. And you see other people from the real world down there, the three in the Roman garb with the makeup, and a couple of toss-away people, like the kid with the walker.
Yeah.
You only see the kid with the walker in that scene, and then back in the dungeon for a quick kill. That's just budget and time. That's a real world thing to be in a movie. You know what I mean? It's like it's not for the art or anything else. He wanted to do the scene. He could get this kid. So I don't put too much significance in that. But when we come through the second time into the inner life is when he's having sex in the real world. And that's where Robert Crumb is getting jerked off. Okay? So the act of having sex in the real world is expressed through quite a few of the characters in the inner world. Okay? Crispin Glover is concentrating on the picture of Shirley Temple while he's having sex. This is how he's fetishized Shirley Temple in his inner life. The monkey girl is jacking off Robert Crumb. And again, I really hope they gave him a happy ending on that. It would be rude.
Very much so.
It would be wrong if you did not jack off that poor actor to his climax.
Yeah.
And just the hate. I mean, there's not much to say about that. The hate itself, but I believe it's from the torture, and it's Nazis and blackface and that goddamn song, which is a real song. I can't swear. I can't swear because I'm not a country music fan, but Johnny Rebel sounds like a real country person's name. And that's who the song was credited to.
Yeah.
And if I have heard
his existence, I've heard that before. I've heard Howard Stern talk about him. I think he even interviewed him once back when he was on regular radio.
Yeah. It was so racist in the extreme. The whole inner life, was really just racist in extreme. oh man, so what was some of the lyrics of the song like and I asked the audience to forgive me, okay? This is not appropriate. But the song was the nigger's not dead, he only smells that way.
Yep. Yeah.
Like,
really fucked up. Like I didn't even realize, I didn't even pay attention to the song, but that's exactly when Natasha started watching.
Yeah.
And she's like, wait, did that song just say? And I'm like, oh shit. I think so. Yep. You're right, honey.
But before putting on the song, Crispin Glover, because the song was in the first trip through the inner life, Crispin Glover was tired. You know,
yeah.
he's not the same character really as when the sex is happening.
Yes.
He's more like he's really Crispin Glovery is what he is, because he's just like,
yeah,
we're supposed to listen to this song, and then he puts on this song, and it's like the most racist thing I've ever heard. And through and through, it's the story of this guy who went fishing and met up with his friend, quote unquote, Banjo, you know? And I think Banjo had the boat or something like that. And
yeah.
After the fishing, he would make fun of Banjo with the chorus. Like, you son of a bitch. You know? But
yeah.
like that's it. Between that and the minstrel, the inner life is full-blown racist as fuck. You know?
Yes.
So that whole portion, I don't know what else is to really be said about that portion of it, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know why Monkey Woman, I don't know why the other creatures, the woman elephant or the creature that lived in the crater, you know? But watermelons, of course, wind up representing when the real kid's head gets smashed in the real world. They pulled a trauma and smashed a watermelon. You know? So the watermelons are kind of foreshadowing that. Kind of running out of steam. Maybe we could take a quick break. I really have to go pee, and I might need another couple of hits on the joint to finish this.
Okay. All right. We will be right back with the exciting conclusion of the Popon film after these commercial messages. Do 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 do. Skeet skeet scat scoot skit liadoo.
The only difference between Bob and Madman is that Bob is not mad.
Forrest Gump.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
When this dead hand moves, the monster created by a man they called Mad is turned loose to strike terror into the hearts of men. To shock women into uncontrolled hysteria.
Elizabeth!
To prey upon the innocence of children. This is the story you've heard about, talked about. The spine-tingling, blood-chilling story that stuns your emotions. Frankenstein.
Don't touch that!
And we are back with more of the Pope on Film. Bunny, for those of you just joining us, we watched a bizarre-ass movie that no one has seen by the paragon of normalcy, Crispin Glover, called What Is It? It's a film that's not for everybody. If for whatever reason you have always wanted to see a Nazi Shirley Temple doll on a cloud singing as a topless woman in a monkey mask gives a naked Down syndrome man in an oyster a hand job, then this film is for you.
You may need some marijuana. That may be the key to this.
Yeah,
you know?
But I watched the film once or twice, and it is very bizarre. But oh my God, Bunny understands it. Bunny understood this film.
Don't you think for a second that does not scare the fuck out of me?
Oh my God, Bunny understood this film, and he like I swear to God, as you are explaining the plot of this film to me, I can picture the episode coming out, and then Crispin Glover listening to the episode and jacking off.
I'm going to champion this movie now, like Batman and Robin.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And Rock of Ages. Maybe Crispin.
That's a wonderful list of films for you to champion.
Maybe Crispin shouldn't hear that part.
Yeah.
But I watched it the first time, and I wasn't particularly disturbed by it, but certainly parts of it offended me. You know? Yeah. He's in blackface. Of course that offends me. Shirley Temple has a riding crop in her vagina. That is really fucking offensive. You know?
Yeah. This film is 69 minutes long.
Yeah.
But I swear to God, every time I saw this, it was 6 hours. I swear to God, it was Sharknado 5 all over again.
Yeah. And also in my first run through it, a lot of the sounds were very sharp and grating. Mm-hmm. It kind of, a lot of the sounds, like the snail screaming,
was just Christ, yes.
I didn't mind the sound. I don't know how to describe it. Some sounds just sound sharp,
Yeah.
And they're uncomfortable to listen to for me.
Yeah.
Like piercing, But coming around the second time, I was just like, okay, I'm just going to tweak the volume down on this part,
Yeah.
The snail screams, I know that. And, and of course, I watched it through the first time, and I was like, okay, what the fuck happened? Let me go look at a few things. And all I could find is, again, probably all that you could find was just the briefest synopsis of the movie.
Yeah.
Of basically the inner life and the outer life,
Yeah.
Although they may have said two worlds or something like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I was like reading through it, like a lot of the critic reviews and what did they say on IBDM and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's all Crispin Glover is a genius. This is
Yeah.
like there were a lot of, but like not from anywhere good. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Crispin Glover has friends that are critics. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, because that's the other thing about this. I mean, he has enough stroke to get the people that he got just because he asked. You know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and didn't have to really pay anybody. You would have to pay for the kids, the Down syndrome kids. Um, but it also helps their street cred being in this.
Yeah.
The sets, he would have to pay to construct the sets because the set inside is pretty cool looking. You know?
Oh yeah. Yes. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And weird and all of that. And, it seems like the different personalities live in different parts of the set. You know?
Yeah.
But it was but all the critic reviews were so ass kissing. You know? Just like, oh, you know, so when I was reading through it, and this is after I watched it the first time, I was like, he paid them to say nice things, and like, you know, this is just so much ass kissing, kind of like Begotten. Like you don't know what to say, you don't know what
Yeah.
this movie is about,
Yeah.
so you're going to assume
So,
it's genius.
so that must mean I don't understand what this movie is about. So that must mean that it's high art. So I'm
Yeah.
going to say that it's genius.
Yeah. But then I got high and I watched it the second time, and it all started coming together in my head. And no, I don't have 100% of the movie cracked. I'm thinking about 80. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. A decent amount. A decent amount.
there are some parts I don't understand, and really, you're hearing me describe it. You really got to fucking reach. You know.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but once you see it, it's not a reach at all. You know.
No.
So after having watched it the second time, I was like, "Motherfucker, this is art, and Crispin Glover is a genius. He just is, you know,
Yeah.
because this is so fucking demented, and it is so unblinking, you know."
What's going on out there? I hear a bunch of screaming, and Maxwell's crying, and like, what's going on?
You see?
No, Eleanor, I don't want the banana. What's going on?
Shit's falling to pieces. That's all.
Shit's falling to pieces. Okay.
Emerald and I were messing around, and Maxwell came in the kitchen. I was like, "What are you doing here? You want to get beat up? No, then get out of here." And he walked away, and I stuck my foot out, and he stumbled. Didn't trip. Stumbled. Did you just hit his head when you picked him up? Oh.
Jesus Christ.
And so he came down the hallway to cry about it. It doesn't help that it's like almost 10 o'clock.
Yeah. I take it the ASPCA wasn't on set.
No, not at all. They could not be, because
Yeah.
those were snails dying.
Yeah. I have some like serious questions about this movie. Number one, is Crispin Glover bipolar? Because this film tells me yes.
I kind of crossed that. That kind of crossed my mind. It also crossed my mind is Crispin Glover possibly like on the low end of the spectrum, you know, like
Yeah.
he is Down syndrome, but he's like functioning. He's fully functioning, you know,
Yeah.
or possibly autistic. And something else that suggests that in the end credits, there was somebody, I forget the first name, like Bob or something, Glover.
Yeah.
maybe he was the minstrel. I'm not sure, but there's a high chance that it's one of the Down syndrome kids.
That is okay. That is a good point. That is an interesting point.
Yeah,
yeah.
But it's but again, it's so unblinking and is so in your face with the offensiveness of it that it's hard not to argue its artistic validity.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And especially the minstrel guy, he called it out. When the minstrel guy came into the real world, our star's friend, in air quotes, looks at the minstrel guy and says, "Oh, you're racist." Well, he's right. you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the first run through.
Okay.
And of course, everything I'm saying, there's no way to say it in any kind of sequential order,
Right.
Because
no,
so much of this is happening at the same time. But in flashes in the inner life sequences, that's where we're cutting back to his mother. That's where we cut back to his mother smoking the pipe and then blowing it into the tube, which is directly going into his lungs. Because she's got that, and that's gotta fucking hurt. She's got that, like industrial paperclip on his nose. The really old-fashioned ones.
Yeah.
On his nose, like that's gotta hurt. But that means that he has no other choice but to breathe the smoke in. And it's like, why would anybody? And like, that's just such a psychotic Sybil type thing to do.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure you must have seen Sybil at least once.
Oh yeah.
Where she gives the kid an enema, then ties her to the piano and makes her hold her water while she plays a full song on the piano. This is just as demented as that. And we don't get any explanation. Because that's all all other thoughts of his mother are blocked out. But his mother comes up represented all around. When we first see the two girls in the outer world, they're in both. They're both in the outer world and in the inner world. She was smoking the pipe. She wasn't really smoking it. She was treating it kind of more like a bubble pipe. But that connects her to his mother.
Yeah.
So
I was wondering about the pipe.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we get into the other scene, I believe they are no longer having sex at this point, which ended with the guy getting a blowjob. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Ties it into Blood Screaming Freaks.
Yeah.
So, like, the next time we go into the inner world is where we have him mentally breaking down, okay? Because he's dying. Okay? He was out putting salt on slugs at his mom's tombstone. And,
like you do.
Right, and it looked like the whole gang of other autistic kids brained him in the head with a rock, a big rock.
This is what it looked like, yeah.
And that's when Crispin Glover says he's dead. Now it's time to have some real fun.
Good. He's dead. Now we can have a good time.
Yeah.
That's a line from this film that they later used on Sesame Street.
Really?
No, of course not. Of course not.
I was going to check back with Sesame Street and find the Sesame Street tie-in.
Yeah, that was when they killed the Count.
Yes. Okay, so he's just going to... So in the real world, he's going around living his normal life. He's trying to hang out with the cool kids. He's burning slugs. He's doing all that kind of stuff. Then we don't see... See, that's another problem here, man. Not only do we have to deal with two separate worlds, the real world isn't in a linear order. You
True.
know? So he's dead well before we see him get brained with the rock. But that's when everything goes wild, because it's him going through his dying process. So when Crispin Glover says that, what we're seeing is the blonde with the glasses running toward the camera.
Yes.
Okay? And this is the first of the altered... Some of it I'm actually piecing together right now as well.
Okay.
She was the first multiple personality that broke out into the real world. And the minstrel came after her.
Okay.
And you don't see our hero in either one of those scenes.
Yeah.
He's not in the scene with the minstrel, and he's not in the scene with the girl. But the girl goes back to the closest one I can call a friend,
Yeah.
Keeping in mind Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. She runs towards the camera and starts beating him up.
Yeah.
And she's like slapping his face. But then we go into the inner world, and she is scratching his face and drawing blood.
Yes, I remember that.
Because they were both in the inner world. They were both represented in the inner world.
Yeah.
But where it ties in with the minstrel is because the kid who was the friend, and I'm saying that I'm getting the Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer because it seemed like our hero was talking to this kid alone at one point early on, and our hero was trying to get him to come with him somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay? Because he wanted to show him something. And I feel like that is when he basically told the other guy that he was a serial killer.
Okay.
Okay? Because now in the next scene, that guy has the two girls tied up. He's releasing them, but maybe killing's not his thing. Maybe he just raped them,
Yeah.
Who knows? But it's that kid in another scene that he's sitting down and kind of talking with, and he's doing, because this is the part that we see first. He's doing this little hand motion, and he's saying, "Beat it." Okay?
Yes.
And then we go back to the minstrel, and we don't
Who is
really
Michael
know.
Jackson.
Right, but we don't really know what he's saying at the time. At first, okay? He's kind of like back-ending into it, and he's not doing a Michael Jackson voice. You don't immediately know he's talking about Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
until you see the picture around his neck. But he's really kind of describing Michael Jackson. And he even says, I really like little boys, you know? And
Yeah.
then we cut back when he says, I'm Michael Jackson. That's when we cut back. While he's saying that, we cut back to the kid, and he's doing that hand motion, and he says something which I don't catch, but then the minstrel guy immediately says, beat it. So the kid is doing a little Michael Jackson move and saying, beat it. And so he's a representation of the kid. That's the tie-in there. And the kid says he's Michael Jackson when the minstrel says, I'm Michael Jackson. Okay? So that's the conflict between our hero and that kid. That's where their friendship, their association breaks. Much like in Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Okay.
He eventually broke off that relationship. Michael Rooker broke off that relationship with the guy who was later in the either the Devil's Rejects or House of a Thousand Corpses. I forget which one. Something Tolls? Tim Tolls or something like that? I don't know.
Something like that.
But anyway, Henry didn't like that he was making moves on his own sister. That disgusted Henry, and they wound up breaking their association. So it's very much the same here. That kid saying is Michael Jackson, but his inner minstrel is saying, I'm Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
So that's where the rift between those two comes from. And that's when he starts telling all the other kids in the posse what a freak he is.
Yeah.
Okay? Man, where am I? I'm not sure what else to cover. The puppet shows, the Cabbage Patch Dolls, and things like
Love
that.
the puppet shows. Cabbage Patch Dolls.
Yeah. Oh, and we forgot to mention that Shirley Temple's voice is basically she is the voice of God.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why
they use actual clips of Shirley Temple.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we can pin a trinity on this. I don't think so, though. It seems like it's just Crispin Glover and Shirley Temple. Crispin Glover is the rational part of God. Okay?
Sure.
He's the one who does the thinking for everybody.
Yeah.
But Shirley Temple is the voice of God.
Yes.
Well, I guess that actually works. Crispin Glover is God the Father, who is also Jesus. Nah, I don't like that. I was going to cast Shirley Temple as the Holy Spirit. It's not really working for me, and I like it better that it's not working for me. I'm tired of Jesus analogies.
Well.
Although I got another one for you.
Okay. Yeah.
No, what were you going to say?
I have an interesting fact about this film.
Oh yeah, what?
Yeah, it's a very interesting fact. I did my research about the film, and 100% true. 12 years after this movie was made, a young upstart filmmaker got the script, rewrote it, added a few songs. Boom! That's how we got La La Land. Not too many people know that, but
yes.
You notice in La La Land that the guy character, the guy who saves Jazz from the blacks,
yeah,
you notice how he's always killing snails with salt.
Yes.
Yeah, right there. He even sings a song about it, like, I'm killing snails with salt. Michael Jackson likes young boys.
Well, he was getting a snail in each one of his drinks when he was playing at the piano.
There's a snail in my drink again. Robert Crumb needs a hand job. Like, that was a line from La La Land.
Yeah.
that not a lot of people remember because they don't remember it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe you should go. I'm like losing my place because I'm high. Why don't you go with some of the questions you were having?
Oh no. Okay. Uh, why does Crispin Glover look like a Vampire the Masquerade reject?
He totally does. I don't know.
Follow-up question.
I like the look though. I
How
was
come
digging the
no
look.
one remembers Vampire the Masquerade? That's the
Yes.
follow-up question. Because that was a big-ass deal for a
Yes.
small period of time of, like, the
Role
90s?
playing.
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons type games.
Dungeons and Dragons with vampires, and then there were different vampire clans and different... And I don't remember any of it. I just knew that every other person I knew was obsessed with it and knew which clan they would be in. And then Aaron Spelling made a TV show based on it, but it only lasted like 4 episodes, and then they canceled it.
Well, but not only that. See, like I probably have as much knowledge as you do about this game, just kind of
Yeah.
passing knowledge and things like that. But from that passing knowledge, I wasn't liking how it was seeping into the vampire culture in movies, because it seemed like the first Blade movie was very influenced by it, where they all start referring to each other as Carpathians. They all start referring to each other as Carpathians, and you could see that there are very different, clear factions in the vampire world. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah. So no, I don't get why he was. I don't get why people don't remember Masquerade, and I don't know why they don't vote for Bernie. I don't know. I don't know why Crispin Glover was dressed like a vampire, but I was digging the look. I was
Yeah.
digging that weird. He really kind of resembled Antonio Banderas in Interview with the Vampire.
Yeah.
But goofy. You know?
Another question I had: how can we disprove that? How can we prove that Crispin Glover didn't kill Michael Jackson? Because the more I think about it, I'm pretty sure Crispin Glover had a hand in that. Because it's obvious from this film that Crispin Glover has had some serious issues with Michael Jackson.
Yes.
And Michael Jackson dies. I would say round about the time that this film was made, after this film was made, Natasha's watching this film and watching this bizarre, grainy film with Cabbage Patch Dolls doing a play, and she's like, how old is this? And I'm like, 2005!
Yeah.
It's amazing!
How... was Back to the Future relatively in the same time period as The Burbs? I'm trying to get a fix on Crispin Glover's age as compared to Corey Feldman.
Oh, I have no idea. Hold on a second, Bunny. What happened? What's going on? What's going on?
Does it look red and infected?
Oh, the missing tooth area? Or the gum? What are we looking
missing
at?
Tooth? Right here.
It looks a bit swollen, yeah. Like a pimple that needs popping is what it looks like to me. I can't tell red and I can't tell infected. That doesn't hurt at all, Maxwell?
He says it hurts.
Oh, he
It
says
hurts
it
when I
does
brushed
hurt?
his teeth.
Oh.
It'll be fine.
Well, does he still have all his baby teeth? He probably does,
No, he
right?
just lost. Here's the thing, Bunny.
Yeah.
He had a loose tooth on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then he went to school, Monday? Is it Tuesday?
I think it was Tuesday.
Tuesday. He comes home and he gives me a baggie with his tooth in it.
Uh-huh.
Then he tells me the fucking principal pulled it out.
I didn't. You
What?
didn't.
Yeah.
What?
Bella told me that when you're there, you have the option to do it.
Oh, so
Did
Maxwell
they ask you?
Maxwell probably didn't
wanted
understand
them to
what.
have it pulled out? No, they just pulled it out. I mean, like this fucking woman sticking her hands in my son's mouth and pulling his tooth out.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, that's
Fucking
fucked up.
Oklahoma.
Yeah, so, and now I'm worried because he's saying it's hurting. It shouldn't hurt when you brush your teeth. And it's a bit red. It's definitely not the...
Well, I would think the hole would hurt. It would hurt for a few days until those nerve endings died or the other tooth shoots through.
Well, and he just told me it's because I had a root in there. Who told you that? Did it hurt when she did it? No? Okay, but it doesn't...
I would take him.
Sorry, this is my fourth kid losing teeth.
Yeah.
I've never seen the gums red like that.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, I'm gonna fucking raise a... Oh. Okay.
I think you should see a dentist and find out what's up with the root thing.
Kiss your dad. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm gonna have to. He just went to the freaking dentist.
Yeah. I think I need to go, Bonnie, so that I can read him a bedtime story.
Oh,
Well, not only
okay.
but you need to go to bed because
Yeah,
I have to
'cause
be
you
up
have to be up
super
at
early
like crazy o'clock with the baby and the
for the surgery
tomorrow.
Well, let's just wrap it up. This movie has been well covered.
This
I'm
movie's
sure
good.
This movie is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I don't even know what was
Yeah.
happening there.
Well, honey, we're gonna watch it about 10 more times, and I'm gonna explain it to you because Bunny gave me the 411, the skinny, the haps.
No, I'm
Yes.
not watching that
There-
ever again.
There
The inner
is
world.
a real plot going on in this movie.
Yeah.
But
There's
it's
an inner world.
very symbolic.
Yeah. And then there's an outer world,
Mm-hmm.
and then Tom Cruise plays Stacy Jacks,
Yes.
and he's the leader of a band called Arsenal.
And Batman's costume has nipples.
Yeah, Batman's costume has nipples, honey.
Yeah.
And Shirley Temple is a Nazi
Yes.
with a thing up her.
A
Yeah.
Nazi whore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, go to bed. All right, fantastic. I'm never watching this film again. Y'all just gave me the summary I needed.
Yeah.
Oh no, we
The-
didn't. No, really. Watch it with him one more
Yeah.
time, or listen to this podcast when I release it. I seriously went through it in a lot of detail, and the plot I spun makes sense,
Yeah. Yeah. In a
and
crazy way.
it's very intricate.
Yeah. Okay. She already long ago ran away. But so if anything, this movie makes me worried because I have no idea what's next.
Yes.
So
Well,
I think we've covered this movie like very well, overly well. Next week I've gotten exciting coverage about a brand new movie remake that no one else knows about. It's going to be the Skinny.
yes.
Next week we're going to be talking about the World Wide Web, and
Yes.
we're going to be talking about box counts. We're going to be talking about a Baby Driver sequel. We'll be talking about that. And the movie, I have no idea what it is. Very excited / nervous about this.
This has really turned into more of a journey than I originally anticipated. And
Okay.
this one concludes this journey. And I think it will all pay off in the end. I would also like to mention some since this is the last film, I would like to mention some alternates to this last movie and
Okay.
a couple of alternates. Just like really quick, but our next movie is going to be a film by Alejandro Diodato. Jodorowsky, sorry. Alejandro Jodorowsky, who was kind of there was a lot of talk going around about him fairly recently, going back a year or two, because a documentary about him turned up in relation to his dream of doing the Dune movie.
Yes, I have heard of that.
With H.R. Giger doing the graphics and shit, it really would have been sick. But this movie is one of his earlier movies called The Holy Mountain.
Okay.
I actually wound up. I think this is really the cherry on the top. I actually had to. I wound up watching it last night because I wanted to make sure it was actually in English. Because he is Mexican. I didn't want to get it in Spanish, but like I was a half hour in before the first person actually spoke.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
And it was English, but all the time that they're not speaking, I mean, they're grunting and things are going on, and there is a plot going on. But like now, I'm a half hour in. I am now invested in this, so I watch the rest of the movie, and I'm going to call this one a masterpiece.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Now, this one I think is going to be. This one is going to be. It's. Wow, this is really weird to say. It's not as deep as the Crispin Glover movie.
Jesus Christ.
I think it probably is, because it gets referred to as like dropping acid. That's a lot of the things you'll read when you read up on this movie. But I think after watching the Crispin Glover movie, this will make perfect sense to you and to me.
Okay. Okay.
So
okay.
So that is the cherry on the top. Now, so let me give the alternates real quick. Okay. Obviously, I was thinking Serbian film.
Oh yeah. Yes.
And I did get a copy of it. But with the way we were going, it was like, what's Serbian film compared to this?
Right.
And then I was thinking The Devils, and I took a bit of look in that, but that's like, if you can't get the unrated, the uncut version, which has never been released, it doesn't look like it's worth watching. Like it looks like from watching the trailers and stuff, it looks like it needs those bits to make coherent sense. So why fucking bother? And then I was like, Holy Mountain, and I watched the trailer for Holy Mountain, and I was like, I've heard of Holy Mountain before. I really want to do Holy Mountain. Okay. So those first two were early runners up, and Holy Mountain was the third idea. But then I was having a hard time getting getting Holy Mountain downloaded. So I was like, I'm going to take if I can't get it, I'm going to do a complete zag and do the Ruddles.
Nice.
So yeah. I just wanted to get that out. So I think this has been a good episode.
I think it has also been a good episode. A long, bizarre episode, but still a good episode nonetheless. I'm excited to see where the hell we end up next week.
And then we'll really need the palate cleanser of Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yes, Spider-Man Homecoming. Jesus Christ, yes.
Oh, for Holy Mountain, cough, cough. It's in the cough, cough.
Gotcha. Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
I will tell you this one thing. there is honest to God real production value in this movie. Money was spent on this movie.
Okay, good. Well, that's better than the last 2 weeks.
Yes. So until next week, I am Bunny Williams.
And I am Reverend Steve saying thanks for listening, and we will see you next week, you godless heathens. Do 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 do. Skip skip scap scoop skip the do. Skitty dot do wow.